Hello and welcome to the Late Night Lounge here on Latte Firm. It's Friday the 27th of June. What a couple of days it's been for Arsenal, eh? They are coming like buses. New signings. Here we go. Andrea Berta working his magic. Arsenal on the cusp of making signings. And there's a few more to come. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks also to everybody who's been tuning into the Daily Grind shows over the last couple of weeks. Massive, massive respect to all of you guys tuning in on the daily. And a warm welcome to our new subscribers. Over 600 of you just in the last 24 hours. Sensational, as we are on our way to 25,000 subs. Tonight's show, in case you are new around here, is every Friday, Late Night Lounge. It's a lot more chilled, a lot more interaction with the chat, much slower pace. We might even be going for like an hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, depending on what we've got to say. So buckle in. Hope you guys have bought a snack. You'll see what that's all about shortly, but welcome to the show. Let's go straight to the chat before I bring in our usual guests. Cy Walder says, yes, he's excited. Viggs, Rice and Gabriella liking Rafa Leao's posts. We are all desperate for any news. Are we the kings and queens of monitoring players' social media? Sam Parson in the house says, let's go, Vlad. Good evening, guys. Senor Berta has been cooking, and we are ready to feast, my friend. Ian, the diamond's in the pack. I don't know what you're saying here, but yeah, I'll assume it as that. Karen, welcome to you. Good evening. Hope everyone is well. Dr. Rameza, good to see you in the chat. Big ups, mate. Latte Firm. Dave's in the house as well. Evening, everyone. Missed you, Dave, last couple of days. Not seeing you on the old daily grinds. DJ D10, welcome. Says, phew, made it. Probably would have made it if I was 5 minutes late. No FK's punctuality. I know. I'm late, but this time I had a valid excuse. Yembele's technical architecture was not working for him. He's only been doing this podcast for a couple of years. He says, hey, FK and the gang and you lovely gooners. Jizzle McDizzle, evening gooners. There is a new gooner in town. My sister-in-law gave birth to a beautiful little girl today, so I'm celebrating with a nice bottle of Leffe. Congratulations to the Jizzle McDizzle family. Congratulations to your sister-in-law and congratulations to the family, man. That is fantastic news. Really, really good news. Congratulations to you all. Look at the love in the chat. Everybody is saying congratulations to you. Adil says, good evening, Latte Firm. Farhan says, wow, I actually made it to the intro animation because I was late, to be honest. Farhan, you would have missed it otherwise. Ishmael says, evening, people. Look, keep the chat active. Really, really appreciate it. Charm's in the house as well. Perfect timing to go onto YouTube. Check out Lower North Bank, fantastic photography, match day photography from the Emirates. Go check it out. And Farhan says, by the way, that Mockbell daily grind was amazing. That's right. If you haven't checked it out yet, Sammy Mockbell came onto the Latte Firm a couple of days ago, and we talked about how the Christian Norgaard story broke and how he sort of experienced it on the day and what he thought it would mean for Arsenal. Shane McD, Ace in the hole, good evening, says Baz. Art de Roche is on tomorrow as we take a closer look at the Hale End Academy secrets. How are they doing it? It's not normal. But there we are. We will keep all the introductions coming. We will keep the chat very active. Get involved. Let's bring in our panelists. First up, Mr. Technical Architecture Failure himself. Yembele, how are you?
I don't know about that intro. I mean, this is my job, effectively.
If your camera and your mic doesn't work even once tonight, I'm going to come to your house and I'm gonna do some stuff.
I have literally supported this man's whole IT stuff for like 20 odd years, and now he's complaining. Honestly.
Hafiz says, I was worried, FK, that the missus had gutted you. Yeah, that's right. You would have seen in the old WhatsApp chat yesterday. I got an invite to a family wedding on the 17th of August, 4 p.m. kickoff. I had to have that conversation with the wife and say, look, something serious has come up and there's a clash and I will not be there.
You told her exactly what it was.
I told her it was Old Trafford and she stormed out of the house and had to go for a walk with her friend.
And has she actually...
We've had a civil day today. She came home last night, she showered, and then she sent me a one-word text saying good night. And I knew I was in trouble. So that is what has happened. Hello, says DWTT. The African Goon is in the house as well. He's getting excited about the snack check. Viggs says Yamin Yamal is in the house. Let's bring in our other panelist. It is, of course, Wayne Bellet. Wayne, how are you?
I'm good, man. By a civil day today, do you just mean you've shared opposite wings of the FK...
No, it's been very civil. We both had a day off today. I had a lovely day off today. I slept, I rested, I took in the sun. I went for a coffee. I people watched. I had a glorious day. Really, really good. We took the kids swimming in the evening. They've just had some food and put them down to bed. Like, it's been a really lovely day. And, normally I come on Fridays and I think, oh, what a week. I've been slammed at work. Today was fantastic. I could do with a few more days off. I really could. But Wayne, how are you? How's your week?
Yeah, it's been good. It was my daughter's 3rd birthday on Tuesday.
Happy birthday to your little one.
Congrats.
Thank you. I'll let her know when she wakes up, inevitably at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. But yeah, it was really good. We went to London Zoo on Tuesday, which I haven't
paid the price for it, obviously.
And paid the price for it. I haven't been there since like a young boy, like was a school trip, and it's about 3 times the size as what it was. So we didn't manage to see absolutely everything, but managed to see enough that made it a really, really good day. And definitely want to take her back to hopefully see the animals that were hiding and some of the talks that we didn't manage to get to.
Oh, bless, mate. And thank you for sharing the video and the picture. She looked a very, very happy girl. May she be blessed for the years to come, my friend. And I'm glad that you've been well as well, Wayne. And talking of prices, I mean, wow. I went to a very well-known coffee shop today. Bought a couple of bits of food to eat and a couple of drinks. 24 quid. 24 pounds.
Madness.
Like, I was indignant as a consumer. I was sat there and I couldn't enjoy my food because...
Hold on, you paid it though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But your consumer action means nothing because you caved as soon as...
Yeah, I know, I paid. But I sat there and I was just like...
Well, that's indignancy. That's not, you can't...
Which was delicious, but yeah, it's ridiculous.
You could have said,
Dan Alpha's in the house. Huh?
You could have easily said, I'm not going to pay this and left it, but you had to because you wanted it.
No. One has to indulge.
He has an image. He has an image to uphold.
Yeah, exactly. Dan's right. It was at Gales. Mate, honestly, you walk in, you pick up a couple of items. It's like 37 quid. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Gales, you need to sort that out. But we are like moth to a flame, sadly. Right, ladies and gents, boys and girls, on tonight's show, we are going to talk about Christian Norgaard and what our take is on him, because we've done a couple of shows in the week, Daily Grinds, short sort of thoughts. I want to get your thoughts on Christian Norgaard. Is he... Actually, I'll save that question, because he has split the Arsenal fan base. We're going to talk about Christian Mosquera coming from Valencia. We'll talk about what impact you think he might have. We'll look at the window so far. Going to get the chat to rate the window so far out of 10, because I've been having a bit of a debate with someone on socials. And we'll look at who else might be coming. So, yeah, packed show. Buckle in. But before we go into the slides, as we normally do, snack check, gents. I'm not even going to mention that image that you guys shared in the old WhatsApp. I think we're going to wait until Yembele actually buys it. But now the viewers
I will buy it. I will go and get it.
Okay.
Trust me.
So Yembele sent this monstrosity of a sandwich, and we're just going to wait until next week because he's going to buy it and he's going to indulge live. And for those of you who are new, because hundreds of you have subscribed to this channel in the last few days, you'll be wondering what on earth we are talking about. Every Friday we do a snack check and the chat get involved. Chat, let me know what you guys are snacking on tonight. Oh, there's a cracking one already. Jim Eves caught my eye. Did you see how he did that? He snack checked tonight a Border dark chocolate ginger biscuits. Jim, you are a man of fine taste. And let me see you and raise you, my friend. The Border dark chocolate raspberry biscuits are an absolute delight. So, Yem, you may as well start with you. What monstrosity have you got for us tonight?
It's too hot. It's way too hot. So I've got a Valencia ice lolly today. It is way too hot.
A what? Valencia ice lolly?
Yeah, Valencia orange ice lolly. Have you never had these? These are elite.
What's Valencia about it?
What's Valencia about?
Have you never had a Valencia orange? What are you? Uncouth, you people.
What?
The only thing about Valencia I know is Christian Mosquera.
Is it just an orange?
That's why I bought this.
Is it just an orange that's from Valencia turned into an ice lolly?
Exactly.
You could have just led with, "I've got an ice lolly," and we would have actually probably given you a round of applause.
I'm just telling you what it is, and I wanted to mention Valencia because we obviously got a link this week.
Okay. Khan, great surname, big fan. Says, evening FK, did you break a transfer? What's the here we go? Or are you clickbaiting us? The thumbnails have seen a bit of an uplift. Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think of the new thumbnails that I've been trying out for these daily grinds? I'm actually quite proud of them. Cy Walder says he's got chili on the stove. Lovely. Terrence Tibbs, the strawberry and cream sandwich. That is the one. M&S are doing a strawberry and cream sandwich, and when the picture was sent through actually by Wayne in the chat, I just assumed because of the awfulness of it that it was Yem, and I thought he was going to go and get it. That's why I was like, Yem, go, get it for the show. But next week.
But you know, Yem's first, you and our first look at it was like, what the hell is this? Yem's first response was, I've heard it's elite.
Unreal. Dave says his snack check tonight is mozzarella and a tomato bagel. Lovely. Hafiz says Ribena and cracker biscuits. Nah, come on. Ribena and cracker biscuits. What are you having with the crackers? At least like butter, which Wayne has changed my life, by the way. Absolutely tremendous. Karen's joining in. I'm having a beef sandwich. I love that, Karen. 10:18 at night on a Friday night, watching Latte Firm, having a beef sandwich. Delicious. Babyhead says Waitrose. Is Yem shunning the M&S now? I love that. Lots of
one must go to both.
About
you have a certain penny. You must go to both, depending on what your shop is. Please, Echo.
Mosquera ice lolly. There we go. And Connor says that they are actually very good, very popular in Japan. Japanese strawberries are really, really something else, and they're super expensive. I've seen these videos of these guys traveling around Japan, and strawberries can fetch like hundreds of dollars for one strawberry. Like it's ridiculous.
Well, it's apparently in the sandwich. Japanese strawberries are in the sandwich.
Yeah. They're very different. They're very different,
really?
Apparently.
Interesting. Dan Alpha says salt beef and cheese bagel. Post football.
I like that.
That is quality. Do you know, I've not been down to Brick Lane to get one of those. The
No,
original,
bagels,
the OG salt beef and cheese
But
bagels.
they're everywhere now. You know, in Chingford, they've got one there as well.
Nah,
it's not the same,
they're the knockoff.
I know. Which one are you, though? There's two of them, remember? So there's two different ones. There's the
Just
salt
the one
beef,
down Brick Lane,
there's the
mate.
bagel company, but there's the one next to it as well.
The original one
for
that's
years.
been there for like God knows how long.
Isn't it called Mr. Bagel or something like that? I think
Yeah,
it is.
something
No,
like
there's Mr. Bagel, and then there's the bagel company right next to it. Both pretty much the same. It's just variances in their mustard.
Which one do you prefer?
Oh, you get him going for like 2 hours now.
I have to think about it. I have to remember it.
Okay, let me know because I'll go to the other one. Terrence Tiff says snack check H2O and black tea, no sugar. Andy says he's having an Ozempic this week. Good luck with that journey, my friend. And Adil says bowl of Crave cereal. Wayne, what you got for us tonight?
Well, first of all, I noticed a chat in there. Our good friend Mohammed in Palestine messaged in. Good to hear that you're safe and well. Sending you love. Yes.
Yeah, sending you
love.
love.
It was like towards the beginning of the show.
Sorry,
But...
do you know what? The more viewers we get now, like I'm an old man. It's difficult to keep up with it. Welcome, Mohammed. Welcome, Paul. Says big love, FK. Yeah, come on then, Wayne. What you got?
I've got ever since, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, we spoke about fish finger sandwiches.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've got the last like bite of my one.
Ooh, that's good.
You saved it. Hang on. Is that ketchup?
Yeah,
ketchup. That's right. No. Wayne, sorry, no.
You can't have ketchup in a fish finger sandwich.
Where's the tartar sauce? Where's the tartar sauce?
You could maybe
ketchup in a fish finger
get
sandwich.
away with having a little bit of ketchup on a plate and sort of dipping it in.
Nope.
But you can't know.
Where's your tartar sauce?
Ketchup inside.
Years old?
Ketchup inside, and a little bit of melted cheese. Beautiful.
You need tartar. Tartar.
I made a start on it because obviously it was warm. The fish fingers had been warm, so
Louis
like the last little bite.
Delighted. Louis is absolutely delighted.
I've not stopped.
He's terrified.
I've not stopped thinking about fish finger sandwiches since we spoke about them.
The deal is to hang on, is this even a thing? I might have to do a live poll. In fact, I will do a live poll once I've got Wayne is in banning form. That's right. Actually sounds great, says Robert.
Hang on.
God.
Hold on. The person who's banned me has said brown sauce. That's nonsense.
Whoa.
No, you can't
fish
have brown
fingers.
sauce either. You can't have brown sauce in the fish finger sandwich. What is going on, people? Come on, people.
The heat's getting to your heads.
Some sense. Come on.
It's
Where's
not
your
good.
tartar sauce?
This is not good. Before I forget, let's do this poll. So, does ketchup belong in a fish finger sandwich? Chat, you have 5 minutes to decide. Okay, right. Let's bring up.
What have you got?
I'll tell you what. Quest for the best is having Pakistani mangoes. The mangoes at this time of year. Woo-hoo, absolute touch. What have I got? I've got an absolute. What was that about? Stokes' ketchup. I need to get this. Everyone's talking about Stokes ketchup. Apparently, it's the finest tomato sauce in the world. Yem, have you had it?
Yes. Very nice.
So it's horrible then.
So that's not going to be nice for them. Okay, fair
Oh,
enough.
please, Moses.
So I've ordered says elite fish finger sandwich, bird's eye waffles for breakfast. You cannot beat a bird's eye waffle. In fact, I had some bird's eye waffles last night with some spaghetti.
I got a question. I got a
yes.
quick question for you. Quick question,
Go on.
because I was looking for the waffles I can find. The mini waffles stopped. You know the mini waffle. You know the small ones.
Small? I've never seen. What do you mean mini
You
waffle?
never seen the mini waffles?
Is it just the red packet? Yeah, the bird's eye waffles.
No, you got your big ones. You know your standard big ones, but then you
Yeah.
get them in like a 4x. You know, like a small, much smaller one.
Can't say I've ever seen a mini waffle before.
But then again, you were the guy, who couldn't find like custard creams, and FK literally sent me a picture the very next day, or whatever biscuit it was. He was like, they're out of stock everywhere. FK went into the first Tesco, sent me an image. He was like, yeah, there's loaded up.
Oh, Tesco's, it's not my
you know what
level.
you could do? You know what you could do, Yem? You could just take a waffle and cut it into 4, and then you got your mini waffles right there. There you go. How about that? Right,
Look,
I have before it melts.
Oh,
Yes.
very nice.
Yes,
that quick.
Snickers ice cream. Do you know though they're getting smaller and smaller? Like that's how big the chocolate is.
Shrinkflation, mate. Shrinkflation is real, my friend.
Shrinkflation. I like that, Yem.
Call it.
You've redeemed yourself. You have redeemed yourself.
We're all
right.
in agreement that the Snickers is better than the Mars, right?
Yeah. For those ones.
Both,
absolutely, yes.
Both fantastic ice creams, but the Snickers,
but the Snickers one gives you texture. It's a bit of texture inside. You know, you got a little bit of crunch.
Snickers is an absolute timeless classic, both chocolate and my ice cream. And let me tell you something else, right? If you have a Snickers bar, this might chuck a few people off. A little bit of ice cream and warm a Snickers bar in a microwave for 20 seconds. Oh my God. That's all
I like that. I'll try that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Like
you know it. You know,
like
Yambele's doubting it, so it must be good. Right, brilliant. Let's bring in on the slides. First up, a very heartfelt message from me. Let's do this. Where are we? This couple of weeks has been absolutely fantastic. I've been doing a new sort of feature on the channel called The Daily Grind. It was something. Oh, what's going on there? There we are. It was something that I wanted to try for the sort of summer period, and it's been absolutely fabulous. And here are just a few screenshots of some of the things that we've done. A very warm welcome to so many of the new subscribers over the last 3-4 days in particular. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everyone sharing, everyone chatting. We've had some generous super chats as well, which really help go a long way to the running cost of the channel. And we're on our way to 25,000 subs. So if you are new tonight and you're tuning in and you're enjoying some of this lighthearted chat, then please do subscribe and follow on socials and get involved. And if you don't like what you see, share this with your enemies. Let them subscribe and follow. Ruin their life with some of that stuff. Right, let's move on to some of the serious stuff. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Do get involved and like the video. First up, Miles Lewis-Skelly. Wayne has signed a new deal, 5-year contract at Arsenal. A Hale End product. What a factory that place is. More on that tomorrow. He has said that he wants to create a legacy with his boyhood club. How did it make you feel to see him sign that new deal? And how did it make you feel to hear him say words like that way?
Do you know what it was? Like the words and seeing him sign the contract didn't make me feel any type of way. But what did was the moment he walked through onto the pitch and he saw all of his history, all of his sort of family, friends, loved ones, all of the people that helped him get to this moment. And you just realize, obviously, we're fans. We play a very small part in what his career is going to be, what his career has been up to this point. But it was an immense sense of pride that we've got someone, and not only we've got someone, this is now the second person who's done something like this. We replicated it with Saka a few years ago when he signed his contract and he walked through, and there was a bunch of sort of fans and people in the crowd ready to celebrate Saka. It's just beautiful that we keep spawning these real credits to our club. That's all you can say. And regardless of what happens on the pitch in the sense of honours, trophies, individual awards, young players of the years, Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, you can look at just how his grandmother spoke about him and you can tell just what kind of person he is. And that means the most. And we've had conversations on this show about the media trying to make him a villain, the media trying to portray him as arrogant, the media trying to portray him as something that he's not. If you want to know what Miles Lewis-Skelly is, listen to his nan. because his nan knows him better than anyone else. And it was just beautiful to see. Obviously, incredible from the club to get him locked down. It was even better that we beat Real Madrid for like the 17th time this year to something, and they're gonna hate us. The way that they're lining up Saliba, they're trying to get vengeance in one way, shape, or form. But it's just whenever it always feels better when someone from Hale End achieves like a contract situation like this. Whenever someone from Hale End commits their future to us, because you always think about, I guess, Ashley Cole. Ashley Cole to me is someone we should love and adore, but it's hard to. And the reason we should love and adore him is because he grew up as one of us. He achieved so much with one of us, but it's so difficult to because of the way that he left. And the fact that we're not seeing that really anymore with our best Hale End products, it just gives you an immense sense of pride.
Yeah, a couple of people in the chat sort of mentioned about grandmas, and I loved how he called his grandma gran. That was really sweet. And when he came out in front of all of those people, he was completely he wasn't like overwhelmed or too reactionary, actually, which was quite sad, because I wanted him to kind of burst into tears and be like, oh my god, my family. But he was so calm, so cool, everything that we know Miles Lewis-Skelly is. But a fantastic story. And to know that this kid he is a kid. He's a senior player for Arsenal, senior player for England, but he is just a boy, and he's got so much football to look ahead to, and he's got so much growth to do physically, mentally, experience-wise, and with this club. But you can tell how much it means to him. And Wayne has just said that, you can tell that he's, about his mum and his gran, he's surrounded by good people. And for the club to do the announcement the way that they did it was so wholesome. And to see the likes of Ian Wright, just it feel good vibes all over the gaff. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, very positive. I think we knew he was going to sign, even when the talk of Real Madrid. I think from everything that has been talked about him, from his mother, that kind of ad hoc post where someone stopped with a camera, and this was before the Man City game, where he absolutely dominated and said, I can't believe my son's playing the Man City game. It was very honest, very down to earth. And that seems to be what the family is. Very honest, very down to earth. And it's clearly ingrained into Miles Lewis-Skelly, because that's all I get from him. I don't see any arrogance. I don't see any, I'm a big shot, I've got a big new contract, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It is very honest, which probably stems into his work ethic as well, because look, he's playing in an unfamiliar position. He's never played left back before this season, but has come in and dominated it. He's become the first choice for the club, first choice for his national country, for his national team. His attitude, his work ethic, everything about him, the people he's surrounded by have formed a unit that really has delivered, such a good player, not just playing wise, but attitude, work ethic, all of these areas for the club. And it's good for him going into the future, because you can get this big new contract and then you can say, well, that's it, I've made it, I'm the big man now. But I doubt that's what Miles Lewis-Skelly is going to say. He's probably going to say, look, I've got areas I want to be better at, and we know he's got areas to work on. But I think he will do. I think he'll cement himself as one of the best players at the club for the next couple of years. I think he's got the potential to do that. And I think with the people around him, with his mother, the family unit there, I don't think we've got any worries about him, almost becoming like an Ashley Cole. As Wayne said, Ashley Cole's a fine player, but there were issues in terms of his his personal life, etc., interfering with how he was. But I very much doubt that that's the case, given how the unit is formed around him. And I think it's more of a case of work. Most players nowadays, from what we see, are very hardworking, very meticulous in what they do. Even the video he released today of, his workouts, when you hear him speak, actually very thoughtful as well. So, it's great for the club. The worst thing you could have is one of your products that you've developed so long, brought into the first team, given the chances, just say, thanks very much, I'll leave, after such a short period. So it had to happen. I'm glad it did. I'm glad he's happy. Next season, on to bigger and better things for him.
Yeah, definitely. And his mother seems like such a switched on lady. She's doing some great things for fellow parents in the game. And Marcia, what an inspiration And also tomorrow, Art de Roche of The Athletic will be joining me in the morning, 10 o'clock. We've gone for an early show because I know there's viewers, fans, I want to say, out in Asia who want me to go live earlier in the day, so you can catch that, where we'll be taking a closer look at the Hale End secrets and the role that Per Mertesacker has had on some of these young gents. But great news for Arsenal. Miles Lewis-Skelly, 5-year contract, which is fantastic. And hopefully other youngsters will follow suit. Just a couple of really nice messages here. First of all, Khan says, FK, try wrapping Snickers ice cream in a crepe or a pancake and then microwave. Good idea. Goodness73 says, the daily grind shows have been brilliant. Thank you for that. Jonathan K, thank you, man. I will never, ever forget. One day we will get there. We will get there together, and I will never, ever forget that. And of course, I will give back to this community like I've been doing to the Patreon guys. And loads of people, I get messages about this all the time. Get memberships going on YouTube. Maybe I should. I'll consider it. Dan says, big up FK, your daily grind shows are epic. Loved every single one of them. Sam says, been so impressed. You're killing it out here. Thank you for all the kind words. And Vive Lad. Yeah, another here we go on memberships. I will absolutely consider it. Let's see what we can do. Right, moving away from
FK, while you're doing all that heartfelt stuff, we've had a comment from Alex in the chat, and I think it's Alex. I'm pretty sure it's the Alex who normally calls in on our phone-ins post match.
Where is it?
I believe it's Alex. Is he based in America? I think he is. And he's like, fish finger sandwich. What the fuck is that?
Hang on a second. Let's just end this poll because I completely forgot about it, obviously. Right. So does ketchup belong in a fish finger sandwich? 53% of you have said yes.
Oh my God. Come on. I was weighing on that. Listen, the Latte Firm Nation, I always knew. I knew you were one of me. But that's really tickled me. The fact that I think someone potentially based in America has no idea what a fish finger sandwich is.
Ian says, Alex, basically a fishing crumb sandwich. Is that what you guys call it
in
in
America?
Much more
fishing than that.
Crumb? Is that what it's called in America? Fishing crumb?
I have no idea.
Fish fingers and tartar sauce with lettuce. Oh, yes.
That's the one.
Oh, yes. Indy says, all Latte Firm FC, aren't we? Thank you, Indy. Appreciate the love. Right, let's move away from food and terrible food takes. And I'm disappointed in your takes on ketchup. That is terrible. Big up FK and fellow Gooners. Thank you, Raybeam. Really appreciate that. Right. This week, opinion is split because we have signed, or we are set to sign, Christian Norgaard. Now, if anybody wants to know the details of how this transfer came about, Sami Mokbel, who joined us a couple of days ago, talked about how he received a text at 8 o'clock in the morning when he was doing the school drop with his kids. Then he had to go, sort of get it verified, and he had it checked 2 or 3 times and broke the story, and then sort of talked about the interest. And then the move sort of escalated very, very quickly throughout the day. And he's having his medical this weekend with Arsenal. So, look, it looks like it's going to happen. Yem, let's stay with you. 31 years of age, currently playing at Brentford. A defensive midfielder, central midfielder. Played 34 times last season in the league for Brentford, 34 starts. Finished all of those games. What do you make of this signing?
I think it's, look, again, if we're all thinking this is going to be some magic midfielder who is going to raise the ceiling of the team, no. I think we can all acknowledge what we know Christian Norgaard is going to be. Squad player and someone who can provide an option off the bench. Again, we've lost 2 midfielders. Partey, Thomas Partey is likely leaving 3 days from now. His contract will expire, and by all the sounds of it, we won't be re-signing him. Jorginho obviously has gone as well to Flamengo. So we needed reinforcements, but we have to manage our budget very carefully. If people are expecting us to go and buy superstar midfielders, etc., we've never been that club. We can't manage. We can't just have a complete squad of superstars because we won't be able to manage that. The demands are too much. We've already bought Martin Zubimendi, who clearly will be the starter with Declan Rice and with Martin.
What is your camera? Yeah, I can't concentrate. What is your camera doing? Why does it keep zooming in and out? Who does this guy think he is? TNT analyst, created his own podcast a week ago, and now he's got a camera that zooms in and out every 5 seconds.
I don't know. I'll get sorted. I'll get.
And do you know what? The chat's completely lost me as well. Everyone's going on about fish sticks. What have we started today, ladies and gents, boys and girls? Alex says, "Yep, I'm in the US. We have fish sticks."
Yeah, that's the one.
Famous South Park episode. If you know, you know. But never a fish finger sandwich. Reggie's just, why would you make a sandwich using individual fish sticks? Terrence is not having any American food, says it's banned in Europe. Random people just, Alex, do you like fish sticks? Do you? The chat is still debating fish fingers. Unreal. What have we started? I mean, wow. Just keep the chat going. I love
Do
it.
do we completely bin the schedule that we have here and talk about fish?
I just say we bin Arsenal in general and just go on to food content.
Yeah, this is we need to just do like latte.
It's gonna be an ASMR episode, isn't there? Latte ASMR. Eating a fish finger sandwich.
Crazy. Oh, Paul Nell says it's called a fried fish sandwich.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's called, no, it's slightly different in the US. In a fried fish sandwich, they have a block, like a square of fish.
Mate, he's literally American. Well, I'm assuming he's American.
No, but there they don't do the individual fish fingers. They do like a
Isn't that more like a fillet of fish?
Exactly.
My head is got. SJ just shouts "Wigan kebab." I love you guys so much. Honestly, chat. He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
I mean, what? No, you're not, mate. I've just cut you out. It says device is not connected. Every week, ladies and gents, there's 500 of you watching live on YouTube right now, and this guy just cannot sort himself out. Dobbo's just said, what a conversation he's walked into. Dobbo, you know what? You need to get on these late night lounges. You're reliable, at least. Have a safe trip to Dubai, my friend. Enjoy the next few days of heat. V Vlad says that what Wayne Snackcheck done to Yembele. Yem, at some point, come back to us. Wayne, I've mentioned his sort of brief profile. Yem's talking about him as being a sort of squad player, option off the bench, I guess, to close games. I've brought up, courtesy of Squawker, his running distance in the last season. He's covered the most grass in the Premier League. That really surprised me. What did you think?
Well, as you know, when we had this sort of similar conversation when Jorginho joined, I'm never a huge fan of obvious backup players or obvious sort of stopgaps, I suppose. In this case, although I'm not a fan of the signing, it's something that was necessary. You have to keep in mind that although Arsenal fans may not necessarily be happy with the lack of glamour around Norgaard, this isn't a deal that the club wanted to do, FK. We wanted Thomas Partey, for right or wrong, to sign. And we offered him a contract that we thought, based on what we assumed to be a reduced sort of role in the squad, with Zubimendi coming in and probably being our main six for the majority of the season and going forward, we offered him something that was appropriate for us. And we're well within our rights to. Now he's well within his rights, him and his camp are well within their rights to reject that and go find something better. And that seems to be the case of what's happened here. But at the end of the day, we didn't want to make this signing. I'm just really, really glad that we reacted pretty quickly. I'm really, really glad that we didn't go deep into the summer with only Zubimendi, and then you're in a situation where you're chasing a six and you have no one else, and then you get to deadline day and you realize, oh, well, we're not going to sign a rotation six, and someone, if like Lewis-Skelly or Declan Rice, has to perform double duty. And I think I'd rather have someone as opposed to no one. I think the big thing for me, and a lot of Arsenal fans, I think you're in the camp as well, are talking of him as a rotation player, as someone to come in to end game, someone that finishes out sort of the last 10 minutes if it's necessary or whatever. I think he needs to do, and it's not only him, I think he needs to play a bigger part than that this season, because I think Arteta needs to use the squad more than he has done in the past if we are going to be successful this season. And someone who knows the Premier League, someone who has been in the Premier League for a number of seasons, doesn't need time to get used to the pace, the intensity. And seemingly, looking at sort of the likes of, is it Crab Stats, Cannon Stats, Scott Willis?
Cannon Stats, yeah.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of sort of stats on it, and his numbers and what he's like as a profile is quite similar to Zubimendi. Now, the quality of Zubimendi is much, much better. But in terms of what they offer, both of our sixes are quite similar. So our style of play shouldn't change. If Zubimendi isn't playing, if Norgaard isn't playing, there should be at least a similar style there. So I think it's on Arteta to use him more than the final 10 minutes of games, than the final sort of 5 minutes of games, and only Carabao Cup games here and there. And I would have preferred, like we had the conversation last week, I would have preferred someone as a middle ground between Norgaard, who I feel is the easy option, and the 60, 70 million player that a lot of Arsenal fans wanted. but it's better than leaving the squad empty. And now I think a lot of Arsenal fans are just very much onto, we'll accept it if you get us the winger and you get us the striker.
Now, normally I would find this very amusing. Everyone's suggesting Fish has taken over. He actually genuinely was called Crab Stats, so Wayne's right on this. Yem's gone shopping for fish fingers. I'm just picturing him racing down to Waitrose. Look, the way that I feel about this signing, he's back, by the way. He sent me a text going, my computer has died. See you in a bit. The way that I think about this signing is that, and I mentioned it yesterday with Alex off the Different Knock. We did a sort of breakdown into Christian Norgaard. So if you guys are interested in a deeper dive into his playing style, have a look at it. I was massively underwhelmed, like I am every time Yembele joins the stream. That, you know, this is a guy who was not someone I was expecting. I wanted legs, dynamism. I wanted a powerhouse, box to box. I wanted a Morgan Rogers, not necessarily about fee, but just, you know, player profile, and also, you know, someone at the peak of his game and at the peak of football. So to suddenly get Christian Norgaard, I was a bit like, oh, what are we doing? But then when you start thinking about it, and you think about Jorginho and El Neni have now gone in the last 24 months. Norgaard's going to come in, and he's an immediate upgrade on both of those because he's going to be more available. He's a better player. He's physically very robust. He's a club captain, acclimatized in the Premier League. And I know we've had the likes of Raheem Sterling and Jorginho and, you know, Willian, like, you know, in the past. Like, I get it that old players are not always successful, but I do think that this is a guy who's been playing really well actually for Brentford. He's covered the most distance, so, you know, fitness-wise, fantastic, you would imagine. Stamina-wise, got a real engine on him. And he's not a bad player. Yen, welcome back. He's not a bad player at all. As I sort of move on to this, courtesy of, by the way, if anybody wants to check out @footballecon_, what a great account. All sorts of charts, all sorts of analysis of players. And basically, this is a chart that's basically showing you all progressive passing DMs across Europe's top 5 leagues. You've had to have had a minimum of 10 games played. And the graph, you know, along the vertical axis there, it says progressive passing distance by touch, and then you've got destroying ability. And look at Christian Norgaard just on that right-hand side. You've got Casemiro, who is obviously a top destroyer, but not the best progressive passer. And Christian Norgaard ranks really high. Andre Santos there can't get a game for Chelsea. Lucien Agume, a player that Arsenal have been linked with, of course, playing out in Sevilla. You've got Carlos Baleba of Brighton just sort of further below. And Zubamendi, if you can just see that, tucked in by the Christian Norgaard. If you can't see it on screen, head over to footballecon_ on socials. He's got really great sort of stats and charts on him and Christian Mosquera, who we'll come on to later. He's a good player. Like, he is going to have a use. And for me, he raises the floor. Yem, you kind of died as you were getting into your groove with Christian Norgaard. So let's go back to you. Your thoughts on Norgaard before we start talking about how Arsenal fans have reacted.
I think it's a decent signing. You're talking about Premier League proven, someone who is going to be able to get into the mix of the Premier League and how we play week in, week out very easily. We could have gone with a younger signing like Lucien Agume, those kind of players, but Arteta has opted for proven quality, and your chart showed it there. He is a decent signing. If you're expecting miracles from him, where he's going to change our game, he isn't. He is what he is. He's a destroyer. Is good physically, good in the tackle, but don't expect miracles from him. But we need these kind of players in our squad because, as I said before I had my issues, we're not going to be able to do what Man City or Chelsea do, which is to buy, to stockpile players for 40, 50 million and just hold them there. We don't have that capability. So we have to have players who can, do a job, who are not necessarily comfortable on the bench, but understand that it's a squad game and be comfortable with rotation, which he's going to be. But at least it gives us a bit more legs in midfield. Jorginho is a good player, but his legs were dead completely. They were completely dead. And Norgaard, 31, yes, but his engine is there. He's got a good engine. He covers the ground very well and good in the tackle. If he's not as good as Party or Jorginho at passing, we know that. But again, I think we all understand his remit, and that is, he's going to play in maybe some Carabao Cup games, lesser Champions League games. That's where he will add value, and also when we need stability defensively, he will come on and provide that. So, if you're getting riled up about this signing, then I think you're getting a bit worried, a bit jumpy about our transfer activity. Judge everything at the end of the window. These are pieces. These are pieces of a puzzle for our transfer window. Hopefully, we get what we want. We want the shiny toys at the end, as a lot of commentators have said. But we need building blocks, and he's a building block. That's the long and short of it. So take a breath on this one, folks.
Well, look, I mean, he's definitely split the fan base. You can see here just a few tweets. I mean, they're not difficult to find. Just type in Norgaard and you get all the messages on socials. Berta is worse than Edu. Can't be bothered anymore. Compared to what Hugo Viana is doing at City in his first window and the rubbish that Berta is executing, then Arsenal are in big trouble. How can you start the job with Norgaard and Kepa? Get this clown away from us. And then you've got another one saying, how are people happy to get a 31-year-old average Norgaard? What the F is happening at this club? Norgaard and Kepa, before a striker, Arsenal are never seeing glory again. Same shit, different year. And then you've got, get the F out of my club, Norgaard. We don't want you. What has our club become? Laughing stock. Get out, Arteta. I mean, there is a point here in terms of the order of signings. And this is a very long window. And like you say, pieces of a jigsaw, Yembele. Had we have opened the window with, let's say, Sesko and Rodrygo or Eze, right? So two of those three. Then maybe we announced a Zubimendi a week later. Then we got Kepa. And then the day before the window shut, we just thought, you know what? 9 million quid, Norgaard, bring him in. I reckon most Arsenal fans would be like, actually, do you know what? That's quite a sensible signing. Wayne wants to disagree, loudly. Go on, Wayne.
People like this, people like these. Listen, I'm not overly ecstatic about the fact that Norgaard's coming in. But people like this on the tweet stream that you can see here just want to complain. If we had signed Sesko, a left wing, we could have signed Sesko, Nico Williams, and Zubimendi all within a week of each other. If Thomas Partey then left after Jorginho left, the complaint would be, get Berta out. I can't believe we're going into the season with just Zubimendi as the 6. We could then sign Norgaard a week later, and it would be, get him out. I can't believe we don't have a backup goalkeeper. We then bring Kepa in as the backup goalkeeper, and it would be, get him out. I can't believe we don't have a natural overlapping left back. And then there's always just something to complain about. And then the big one would be, because I think the majority of us kind of appreciate that looking at all of the links, we're probably not going to sign a playmaker in midfield. We're not going to sign an Erdegaard, somebody to deputise for Erdegaard. We're not going to sign someone who can challenge Erdegaard. I think that is a necessity in this squad. But looking at all of the links of the players that we're linked to so far, apart from Eze, and Eze's kind of more talked about as a left winger, we're not looking for a playmaker in midfield. We could sign the left winger, the striker, the 6, the backup 6, the goalkeeper, and a young centre-back, and they'd complain about the fact that Erdegaard is still in the starting 11. These people just want to complain. And you can talk about the player quality and whether he's going to help us, whether he's going to hinder us. That's all opinion-based. But this is just people just wanting to make noise for absolutely no reason. The order of the signings is completely irrelevant as long as the signings get done. Now, on the flip side, I completely get that there's a lack of trust in the club to get the signings done. Because the past sort of 3 windows in particular, they haven't really given us a lot of belief that they're going to at least fill the squad adequately. We're going to have 1 or 2 holes. Almost every squad does. But I think a lot of Arsenal fans are still very much doubting that we're either going to sign a striker or sign a left winger. But like I said, we could have done that first, and these people would still complain. So it's just absolute. It's tweets like that are absolute nonsense. If you want to be disappointed about the player quality, that's a conversation. But stuff like this is just nonsense.
The fact is, Arsenal are not going to be, as I said, you cannot compete with what the Chelseas and the Man Cities are doing. We can't do it. If people are expecting us to go out there and do what Man City have done, which is to just get and splash the cash, etc., we have to manage our finances. There are these pieces are there for a reason, and the way it's being done is to accommodate and ensure that our financial stability, because we don't get injections of cash from so-called new sponsors every 2 weeks, and we can't fake accounts. We have to be mindful of our money and mindful of our balance sheet. So Judge Berta and Arteta and the board at the end of the window. I totally agree with that. If, as Wayne has just said, we have holes in our squad, big ones, and I'm not talking about, playmaker, etc., because we all know that we would like another playmaker, but that may not be possible. But we had clear targets for this window. But if we have not executed those, i.e. that we've not got the striker or the left winger of some note in, then a serious question can be asked, because why are these two primary positions not been filled properly? Fair question. But this kind of thing, when the window really hasn't got going and we're in pre-season, what does having the striker right now do for us? Most players are on holiday. Calm down, people. It doesn't mean anything at this point. Just take a breath, have some patience, and judge later on once it's all done.
I can understand why some people are frustrated by the lack of activity from Arsenal, and I do think the order plays a part. I'll slightly disagree with you there, Wayne, but I think you made a good point about, you look at the last 3 windows, and the last 2 in particular, January midway through the season after we'd lost Saka, and the one in the summer where we completely fumbled the bag and Raheem Sterling was the best that Edu and Arteta and co could cough up. That was negligence of the highest order. And so I think people are once, twice, thrice bitten shy. With regards to this window, as a few of you have said in the chat, there's still a long, long time to go. And I think it doesn't help the fact that, our first few signings were a backup goalkeeper, another Chelsea boy, a young, promising defender from Valencia for as little as maybe sort of 15 million quid, a central midfielder who no one really expected for 9 million quid and is at the wrong end of his career, and Zubimendi, who to be fair, is going to be a needle mover, but he's been so done to Arsenal for months now that, like, when the news finally comes, it's just going to be like a yawn. This is old news. What's so exciting about it? I do think that over the next couple of weeks, and obviously pre-season starts in a couple of weeks' time, if we do get our striker and then maybe a forward or a wide player or another midfielder who we're going to talk about on the next slide, I think the mood changes massively. But my closing point on Norgaard and closing point to some of these sort of tweets, look, I respect people's opinions to have to be negative. I don't mind it at all. Like, you know what? Curse the club, curse the gaffer, curse Berta, do what you want. But I can't understand why you'd get upset about this particular signing, because he's just raising the floor. Like I said to you before, we lost Jorginho, we lost El Neni. These guys cobbled together maybe 20 games, 20 starts in the last sort of 2 years between them. This is a guy who is going to come and he will just raise that floor. He will be that. I don't want to diminish him and just say backup or lesser competitions. Someone made a really good point earlier about maybe he's going to start because Zubimendi might take time to acclimatize. He knows the Premier League inside out. He's a destroyer, as we've just seen, courtesy of Football Econ. Like, he's ready to play, and he's a good player. And Thomas Frank, as annoying as it is that he's gone to Spurs, he did one of those coaches masterclass, and he talked about Christian Norgaard as obviously being the leader, being intelligent, being an extremely hard worker, model pro, everything that Mikel Arteta loves and stands for. And the fact that he's not afraid to shout at Brian Mbeumo as much as he might shout at a 17-year-old kid for not playing well. Like, he treats everyone the same. He's not anything to get excited about. At the same time, Uncle Doris has just said, look, he's tier 2, but nothing wrong with it. He's not tier 1, and he's not the player that I wanted. As I said at the start of this segment, I wanted a Morgan Rogers. I wanted a, big profile, really, well-known, top of his game type player. But but I'm not gonna get upset about this. I think this is just, he's a squad player. We have need for a squad. And let's not forget, guys, there were games last season when you were desperate to either hold on to a lead or desperate to make a change in a game. You look to the bench, you've got 2 goalkeepers, you've got 3 left backs, you've got a couple of academy kids, and you've got Raheem Sterling. Like, we need depth across the field. And just because we've got Kepa and potentially Mosquera and Norgaard and Zubimendi, and then Marino might drop down to the bench, like, think about our bench all of a sudden. I get it. Forwards haven't been added yet. Wingers haven't been added yet. But this is why we've made this sort of buy for 9 million quid, for 5 million quid, for 15 million quid for this defender, to hopefully, he says, fingers crossed, free up the budget for the remainder of the window. Chat, let me know. Christian Norgaard, is he a player that you feel is going to be a useful addition to our squad? That is the poll that I will put up. But as I do that, the next slide is this is a player I'm getting immensely excited about. Wayne, you and I have been in the group chats all day. We've been sort of increasingly interested in this, but Hand of Arsenal maintains nothing is done yet. There is interest, but no real movement. Those are the squad options. And I've chucked in Miles Lewis-Skelly because obviously, look, depending on how many left backs we buy this window, and actually he sort of tucks into midfield, he is potentially another option. Ranieri, I know he's a sort of wide player, but he's being earmarked as maybe that sort of Odegaard replacement. Let's see. But look, Declan Rice, Zubimendi, Christian Norgaard now, Lewis-Skelly, Odegaard the skipper, Fabio Vieira, maybe he will be integrated. I don't know. All of a sudden, it's looking like the midfield is becoming a little bit healthier. You know, last couple of shows we've done, we've had Jorginho grayed out, Thomas Partey grayed out. We have Fabio Vieira sort of, loan move. Is it going to happen? But like, we just need that quality, that depth that I've just mentioned. But Wayne, the question for you is, we're obviously interested in a striker. We're obviously interested in a wide player. Eberechi Eze, Ebs, as he's known by a friend of mine who texted him while he's on holiday in the Maldives, asking about a move to Arsenal, and I shall not repeat the answer for the sake of the internet. I mean, I would love this to happen. I've described it over the last couple of weeks as the sort of cherry on the Bakewell tart, or the icing on the cake. Like, if we got all of our positions addressed and we bought in Eze as that last signing, that would just be the bonus, the luxury. But actually, I've been thinking about it, and I don't like the way Rodrygo's going. And I think this guy could be the answer to that. Left 8, a number 10. I think about life beyond Odegaard. As in, when I say beyond Odegaard, I mean like when Odegaard's not firing or when he's missing, we have zero creativity. Does this guy float your boat? While I ask about Norgaard in the chat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've said it a number of times that he is someone that now I would consider like an ideal sign-in. Like where you started previously about talking about him as the luxury, the sort of cherry on the icing on the cake. For me, he would be someone I would consider. It would be close. Like if you asked me today, right now, to choose between him and Rodrygo, I couldn't confidently lean one way or another, because I think of Eze that highly. I think he's someone that would offer a lot to this team and take a lot of pressure off of both the likes of Saka and Odegaard. Like if you want to double up on our right hand side and you don't want Odegaard to do that creative that creative role, you don't want Saka to get involved in that way, you're leaving the whole sort of pitch on the other side to Eze, and he can do a bit of everything. Now, I don't know if he's got the magic that Rodrygo has shown, sort of, especially in the Champions League. Rodrygo has been better in the Champions League than he has been in La Liga for a lot of his time at Real Madrid. Like, he has produced moments for them in the Champions League. So, and obviously Rodrygo is much younger, 3 years or whatever it is. And we've not really seen Rodrygo on the left-hand side because Vinny's there, and that's kind of where Mbappe excels more. But we've seen what Eze can produce in a Crystal Palace side who have struggled with him in it, but he hasn't struggled. They flourished with him in it, and he's still flourished. Like, no matter what the situation is for Palace, it was always, before obviously this season, it was always him and Elise. Those were the two standouts. And then this year, he just shone by himself. I think he's somebody I really, really hope we do go for. And I think that if we went for him instead of Rodrygo, there would obviously be a number of the fan base that would be upset, but I don't think I would be. I just think he's that quality.
Yeah. What do you want to say about Eberechi Eze? Obviously a former Arsenal boy. I posted a video from the Latte firm social account today that, there's that sort of interview of him going around saying it was always Arsenal. I wanted to play for Arsenal. I loved Arsenal. I was a boy here, and I don't know when that interview was taken, but it was Alex in the chat who sort of shared it with me. And it was a little nugget, a little clip that I just couldn't not share. It feels like a homecoming would just be phenomenal.
It's emotional. Look, there is an emotional attachment there. That's clear. He was a schoolboy with us, and he played in the youth ranks with us. So clearly, there's an attachment. From a squad point of view, as Wayne has put it really well, he will provide another outlet of creativity when Saka and Odegaard are not performing. And that has happened. That's happening more and more because teams are starting to get wise to how we're playing. So it is definitely an option. My concern is he is not a left winger. He is an inside forward. He feels like almost like a right-footed Odegaard. So he'd play that left. He could play the left eight. And there are a number of positions he could play. I would like him, but I still would want that left winger. But I'm going to caveat this with, I don't need it necessarily to be to Rodrygo. I would love Rodrygo, but the finances in Rodrygo's deal and this on top, I don't think we can do with the other stuff. However, if we look at a player like Igor Paxasau from PSV with Eze, kind of a package deal that's a bit lower, I can get on board with that because then you're still adding a very good player on the wing who will give you something different, but then you're also adding Eze, who is clearly a player coming into his prime, who will offer you something different. I think that's better for squad building than adding a potential luxury player in Rodrygo, who is fabulous, but is still an unknown in the Premier League. So you're still keeping Martinelli. You're maybe moving Trossard on, but you're adding a Paxasau, who is a very good dribbler, who would favour our system, and Eze, who would flourish in this kind of creator role or left eight. And I think, for me personally, in my mind, and maybe other people feel otherwise, but I think that covers us a lot more than dumping a lot of money on Rodrygo. I would love Rodrygo. Rodrygo is a fantastic player, but on the finances side, if we go for it, it's a massive deal, and it will probably be the biggest wages at the club, a fee of around 90 million, inclusive of bonuses, etc. I just have worries that how it could be a ceiling raiser, most definitely, but it also could be a massive flop because we're talking, a whole lot of money for a player who undoubtedly has got the pedigree about him, but we have seen it before where players have come over after being at the big club and not necessarily reaching those heights again. So it's just
Rodrygo could be a flop.
I'm not saying he could be. There's always the percentage chance that he can be. In terms of the squad building, I'm saying I'm playing that kind of devil's advocate role where both options are very favourable. But I think for me personally, if I'm being the manager and I'm building out a squad that is going to challenge and have the variation to challenge and beat teams, who mid block and low block us, Paxasau, Eze, Trossard, Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, Wanyeri. That to me just feels a little bit more of a good mix than potentially what we're going to have to do for Rodrygo, which is maybe even dump Martinelli to accommodate Rodrygo's finances because they're going to be large. It's going to be massive, but I doubt Eze's wages are going to be as big as a Rodrygo. Again, there's room for maneuver. He's got the emotional attachment. He's not going to lowball it of course, but he's going to be a much more viable option than Rodrygo.
I think if Rodrygo came to Arsenal, he would absolutely bang. Like I have no doubt about that in my mind. I think you don't win the lot at Real Madrid and still be in your early 20s and move to a club like Arsenal and sort of fail. I think he's. I don't want to say he's a sure thing, but I can't see why the team wouldn't be a good place for Rodrygo to come and play football. That said, it is a lot of money, yeah. They're talking 80, 90 million pounds. They're talking a huge signing on fee, maybe a 10% fee for an agent, plus wages of, circa 250, 300 grand a week, which would be a massive outlay. And I've always talked about the nervousness I've got around someone's hunger when you've been at a club like Real Madrid. It's not necessarily about ability, not about mindset, just that sort of hunger of like, will you give it your all to Arsenal to help us, surpass the two rich clubs that we're sort of up against in, City and Chelsea and Liverpool, and obviously, current champions, etc., etc. However, Eze, I can't deny that link to Arsenal is something that really appeals to me. The fact that this is a story that is, waiting to be finished. What he's done this year in Crystal Palace, helping them win the trophy, individual moments of brilliance, match-winning goals, match-winning moments. He's obviously a very talented boy. There's a lot of chat, a lot of debate about his work rate and, whether he's an Arteta player. I think when you look for a player like Eze, or if you want a player like Eze, I don't think you're going to expect Eze to work too hard off the ball. Mikel Arteta might coach that out of him, but I think this is a guy who is going to help you unlock defenses. This is a guy who loves to shoot. He gets away 3.8, 3.9 shots a game. He scores left foot, right foot. He plays a beautiful slide through pass. He's like Clive said about Zubimendi, he's got every club in his foot. Like, he can chip a ball, pass a ball, cross a ball, hit a ball. I love the fact that he's English as well. He's a homegrown. There's a lot of pluses. I do think Rodrygo is probably the more talented player. You'd probably get a more consistent output from him, but I can't lie, I'm excited about the prospect of Eze coming to Arsenal. I think he'd be a fantastic squad player. And you know what, that left 8 role, final thing, if he was to play that left 8 for me, because I think we've dicked about with the left 8 for too long. Granit Xhaka left, Kai Havertz came in, Marino came in. It's just not worked. And now we've got a proper settled left back in Lewis-Skelly. If we were to buy Eze, I think you also start seeing the best of Martinelli, because you've got that Odegaard Saka link on the right, and you'd have the Eze Martinelli link on the left. And then if you've got a Sesko up top, boys, we are dreaming.
Do you know what? I'm just having a look at Eze's stats. His ball recovery is actually not too bad for. I don't know what people are talking about in terms of work, because I was actually watching when he came to the Emirates last year. I thought he actually did pretty well in terms of working back. He's not amazing, but again, he's not bad either. He's good interception, good tackling, does track back. I don't know where this perception comes from that if you're creative, you don't track back. It's a weird one. From what I've seen of Eze, works pretty hard, and he wouldn't need to work as hard as what he has to do at Crystal Palace, because naturally Declan Rice, Zubimendi will provide that base for you.
Alex says, FK, regarding hunger for Rodrygo, he's always been in the shadow of the big stars at Madrid, Vinny, Mbappe. I think there'd be an intense hunger to prove that he is the man and a superstar. Lots of people have described Rodrygo as a sort of Alexis Sanchez move. In fact, O'Malley's just followed it up beautifully. Alexis Sanchez's situation is nothing like Rodrygo. Alexis had 19 and 11 is last season. So what? Alexis had 19 goals,
11 assists. Wasn't it? 19 goals, 11 assists.
Yeah,
probably. In his last season at Barca, was not raising hell about not playing. I mean, look, this is going to go on and on and on. This is something that we haven't thought about. Eze does have an instalment option. It'd be amazing if we could afford him, obviously. But he does have a release clause, £68 million, and we can pay that in 3 installments, which would be absolutely.
We're doing the Klarna deal, are we? We're doing the Klarna deal, are we? For this
yeah,
one?
well, there you go. There you go. So listen, this story is going to rumble on and on, but Eze is a player that I would love to see in Arsenal colours. Talking of Arsenal colours, this is a player that we have been linked with, Christian Yembele. You got to you got to channel your inner Chris Eubank. Christian Mosquera. Yeah, you said it perfectly. Now this is something that Hand of Arsenal. What a bomber! Hand of Arsenal, man. This guy has been ripping it up this transfer window. If you guys are not on socials and you're not, if you guys are on socials and not following Hand of Arsenal, what are you doing? Because he has absolutely run it, and all the big boys, Fabrizio Romano with his 25 million followers tagging Hand of Arsenal, that must have been an unreal night for him. David Ornstein crediting him as well, and obviously all of us in the group chats with our tiny little followers really saying that he's done the business here. But he tweeted yesterday that Christian Mosquera is linked with a move to Arsenal. Personal terms, not a problem. We are currently in negotiations with Valencia, who wished him a happy birthday today, by the way. 21 years of age now. And we are negotiating some sort of a fee. So 16 million pounds. Now, here's a guy who's played 37 of 38 La Liga games last year for Valencia. this excellent graphic as well, perhaps to screen for you guys watching on screen, but do go over to at football econ _ you can see in the bottom right, I've credited him for that. I did ask his permission today on socials, very kindly has allowed me to use his images. He is a very promising player, physically, all the raw attributes that we would want. Very strong, tall, big frame, aggressive in the tackle, can play the ball. We'll see on the next slide some of his sort of tackling sort of stats. He loves to carry the ball, loves to make passes forward. In fact, there's a compilation going around, and I know compilations are dangerous, but every time he gets the ball, looks to pass it forward. Right-sided, has played centre-back. He's obviously right-footed, right-sided, and right centre-back. Has often played left-side centre-back as well due to his confidence in using both feet. And one of his key strengths is just sweeping. And you'll see that on the next slide. But Wayne, how does this move get your juices flowing? I mean, you know, there were talks about Jarell Hato. We've talked about him on the channel before. But this is a young Spanish defender that, again, no one expected. Hand of Arsenal absolutely pulled it out of the bag. Are you excited?
Yeah, definitely. This is the type of signing I wanted us to make instead of Norgaard in the midfield. Like that sort of young, raw can be rounded into something that we want them to be. Someone who's powerful, someone who's physical, won't sort of struggle with the intensity of our league, but someone who's young enough to grow into something fantastic. And I think this type of signing is brilliant in the sense of it is someone who can be coached by Arteta. It's someone who can come into the squad, cover Gabriel, cover Saliba if either of them need a game off or two, and he can play comfortably on either side of the defence. And I think he's also played at right back for Valencia as well, not as often as he has at centre back, but given the issues that we've had at right back previously, Ben White obviously missing 3-4 months last year, Timber missing a whole season, Tomiyasu probably never playing again in an Arsenal shirt, it's good to have that level of versatility. And for the fee and the opportunity of the fact that he's only got 1 year left on his deal, if he had sort of 3-4 years, he's one of the probably jewels in Valencia. They would be asking for sort of 40, 50, 60 million and we wouldn't be involved there. So these are the type of signings that I love us to be involved in. And these are the type of things that I think Berta was brought in for. This seems, going off of all of the tweets from Hand of Arsenal, this seems very Berta driven. Whether he knew him from his time at Atletico, whether he had relations with the agent or whatever and knew the situation, this seems very Berta driven. So I'm fully on board with it. And I hope it's something that we can get done, because regardless of whether you are annoyed at the fact that Arsenal is signing another centre-back and the optics of it all, the reality is we needed another centre-back. Saliba played an obscene amount of minutes last season. And yes, Saliba is one of, if not the best defender in the world. He should not have to play as many minutes as he did last season. And in some of the games that he had to play last season, he shouldn't be playing. Now, again, much like the Norgaard point, it is very much on Arteta to get this guy involved. And it's very much on Arteta to keep him involved in the sense of don't play him in the third round of the Carabao Cup. And then if we get knocked out, hypothetically, in the third round of the Carabao Cup, we don't see him again until January when the third round of the FA Cup starts. We need to keep these guys engaged. We need to keep these guys active. And for a young player like this, he needs minutes so that he can grow and develop. But I really hope it's a deal that gets done. It's another position of need. And then you'd be looking at 4 rotation signings coming in for about 30 to 35 million combined. That's really good business, I think.
O'Malley says, spot on, Wayne. You could see Saliba's mental fatigue by the end of the season. That William Saliba is a young defender and he's played an awful lot of games over the last sort of 2-3 years. He went missing, of course, with injury at the tail end of the season a couple of years ago, and that really cost us dearly when Rob Holding stepped in, if you remember that, in our chase for top 4. But over the last couple of years, he's been absolutely phenomenal and played on his own without Gabriel Magalhaes towards the back end of the last season, playing alongside Jakub Kiwior, of course. And lots of people, have been talking about potentially this could be the successor to Saliba's throne. I mean, Real Madrid are a smell that's just not going to go away. He is a right-sided defender, as Wayne has said, can play right back, which is going to be useful because we're a bit light there with Ben White, so they're just coming back, and Saliba now having his surgery. And it's not Saliba, Timber, sorry. Let me not scare Arsenal fans. Timber having his surgery. So it's probably a sensible move. price-wise, 15 million quid. Has played 11, 12 times for the Spanish under-21s. Has played for the under-23s. In fact, he's been playing for Spain since the under sort of 15, 16, 17s. A really good, promising player. What are your thoughts, Jem?
I was pretty much echoing what both of you just said. Again, this one just seems to be a very good signing. If you look at all of the accounts on X that look at young players, the Ben Mattisons, all of these guys. These are the guys who have constantly called out Christian Mosquera as one to watch. And I love it. As Wayne said, I want these kind of signings. I want us to be getting these signings and to develop them, for Arteta to get his hands on them and to really bring them into what we want to do. Because Arteta has shown it with Miles Lewis-Skelly, how he can develop a player. So I'm all in favour of this. This one to me is one that I like. He's got, as you said, he's got all the raw attributes to be a success in the league physically. He is raw. There for someone who is 6'2", 6'3", his headers are not the greatest. But again, these are coachable aspects, and Arteta likes to coach players in a certain way. He did it with Saliba as well. He didn't like the way Saliba was so raw when he came in, and he sent him on loan because obviously he said, look, you need more experience. But he was very specific in where he sent him on loan. He didn't just say, just go off to some Premier League club. He said, look, play in Champions League, play at St Etienne, back to your home club, get a sense of stability, but then go and play in the Champions League. So I have a trust in Arteta to develop a player like this. As Wayne said, he does need minutes. I don't want to see this kind of, we don't use them and they're just rotated and brought on for 2 minutes or so. He needs game time. And from all the stats, all the vids, and again, as you said, compilations are dangerous. But you can see the base aspects of what he is. He's tall, strong, physical, can intercept very well. His interceptions are very good. He's got a good mind for an interception, which is actually very powerful in the Premier League. Likes to intercept at the last minute, tries to push defenders towards a certain side before making the tackle. I really like the profile of this player. There's work to do, but I think it fits into our ethos and to the current makeup of the squad, because you've got Calafiori left centre back, who is experienced international, but still very raw. But you can see as a left centre back, as a ball roamer, will do very well. But Mosquera is kind of this player who can cover the back line. He's physical enough. He's a very lanky defender. He can cover the ball space very well, and that would cover a potential Calafiori partnership very, very well. If we can get it under the £20 million mark, I think that's actually a very, very good deal for a 21-year-old player who has got good room to grow. I'm all in favour of this. I think this is a very, very good deal for Arsenal.
It is, yeah. Look, a lot of people in the chat are quite excited about this kid. Look, obviously, always, when it's a youngster and someone who's just caught us by surprise, it's obviously very, very exciting. It's interesting that this was a surprise just as much as the Norgaard deal was a surprise, yet people are really excited about this one when Norgaard's been playing in the Premier League and is a club captain. But there we are. With regards to Mosquera, as said on the chart there again by Football Econ _ do check out his social media. He says that he's extremely clean and effective with his tackling. You can see there in that chart, top right. Look at that. Fouls committed. And does commit. He doesn't commit too many fouls. Sorry, tackle success rate very, very high. So very, very clean. Controls isolated situations, as you can see. Likes to force the dribbler wide. Long legs. He's very, very quick. Speedy defender. Acceleration in these moments is key, and he's able to react to opponents' movements, and that kind of reminds me a lot of Saliba. Actually, he likes to leave a lot of ground in behind, and we've seen it before where strikers think they're getting away, and then Saliba gets into stride and he hunts them down, and Gabriel the same. Wayne.
He feels like a channel defender, which is what we play anyway. We play this kind of channel defense where we have a left side and right sided channel, and again, if you're looking at rotation options, you've got Calafiori one side, who's a channel defender as well, and then you've got Mosquera, who's a potential channel defender. I think this allows us to have good backup options who are young enough to potentially step up potentially Saliba can go. Look, we all know his contract situation. It's not ideal. We want him to re-sign, but we have to be mindful of the future. So yes.
Well, the club, that's a really good point, and I sort of alluded to that earlier. The club have to be grown up about this. Like, we know that Saliba is not going to be at Arsenal forever and ever. As much as we all want to sit here tonight and be like, Saliba will be here in 2035, of course he will. there is a chance that a young Frenchman will want to go after he's seen the bright lights of Madrid or PSG or wherever it might be. He might end up going somewhere else. So the club have to do the right thing, and that is to keep succession planning. That is to bring in young talent, let him shadow, let him watch, let him learn, let him train every week with the likes of Saliba and improve his game. And you never know. Just before I bring you in, Wayne, Farhan says Arteta has to rotate more. That's his biggest weakness, and it will help maintain player value as well. What were you going to say, Wayne?
I was going to say that it really puts us in a good position with Kivior as well, because now we're in a position where we don't have to sell Kivior, but if we get a massive deal for him, we do already have someone that can come in and play left centre-back as well if Kivior does go. But more importantly, I'm looking at this as someone who really complements Kivior and the way that he plays. I think if anyone's got any weakness, or if Kivior's got any weakness in his game, and anyone can notice that, he's not really as assertive as like a Gabriel. And you saw that a lot of times with that partnership with Saliba. Neither of them are that type of, not leader, because Saliba definitely leads on the pitch, but Gabriel is the voice. He is the one that is on the front foot. He is the aggressor. And I think that if there was a situation where we had to play Mosquera and Kivior as a centre-back partnership, that really complements each other quite well. And I think it also complements Saliba if Mosquera has to play on the left-hand side of the defence.
It does. And Ian's just said, rightly so, Kivior deserves his flowers for last season. Good player, proved his worth for me. But that's the one flaw that I think Jakub Kivior has got. I don't think he is as physical or as aggressive a centre-back as obviously Gabriel Magalhaes. Very few people are. But Saliba's recovery pace, recovery ability makes him unbelievable. He's the Rolls Royce. Sorry, Ian? You okay?
Sorry, go. Yeah.
His daughter's awake.
Don't tell me. His daughter's awake. Fantastic. Of course, he's just woken up. I think, and here's a question to you, Wayne. I don't know, Yem, if you have to sort of leave for a bit as your camera zooms out again. Here's a question for you, Wayne. If Kivior goes, and if, let's say, Zinchenko is moved on, could we maybe get Mosquera and Jarell Hato?
I would hope so. I don't think the club would do that. I don't think we're going to be looking at a left back as such really anymore. I think that with Miles Lewis-Skelly and Calafiori there, I think that we're kind of set for left back. I know that Calafiori can also play at centre back, and we're potentially leaving ourselves a bit light. But Zinchenko didn't really play last season, so I don't think we're considering the minutes that he got. But if Kivior does go, then yeah, I would absolutely like to look. Whether it's someone like Hato, who can play centre-back, can play left-back, that would be a smart sign-in for a young player who's up-and-coming and talented. But I think I've said on this show quite a few times that if we do lose Kivior, now that we've got Mosquera and we've got Calafiori who can play at centre-back, I would like us to target a pure, natural left-back. Someone who can overlap, someone who can get involved a little bit more in the attack, just because I think that is a profile that we lack. And I think if we are looking at someone like Rodrygo, for example, and even Eze, those players that we spoke about a bit earlier, they are both better inside and closer to the box. And I think that if we could get an overlapping fullback in our squad at any particular time, I think that at left back, that would really, really benefit us. Because if you look on the right-hand side, we've got Ben White, who does that very, very well. And I don't think on the left-hand side, we've got someone as natural as doing that.
Kieran Tierney was right there. Connor says, I just want Tierney back. I mean, this is why I love Jarell Hato. I think Hato's such a good profile, such a good player. Again, just eats up the grass, very quick on the ball, loves to progress the ball, good passer, very one-footed, which is fine. It reminds me of a young Patrice Evra, actually. I think he could be a fantastic player. And I don't want to stockpile. I mean, of course I want to stockpile, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I think if we can move Zinchenko and Kivior on, maybe one to keep an eye on. But Christian Mosquera is the name, and hopefully the negotiations will take place and we'll get the deal done. By the way, there are 600 of you watching live right now on YouTube. I am immensely grateful for that. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, if you're enjoying what you're sort of seeing. Get involved in the chat. Really, really grateful for all of the support that we've had. And if you're new to the channel, do check out the Daily Grind shows. Just to give you a little rundown, we got Art de Roche tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Hale End Academy and the secrets of Hale End. I've got Tom Canton Sunday morning of the Guna Talk TV. He'll be coming to give his thoughts on the window so far. Next week, LeGrove will be back. Harry Simia will be back. Sam Dean of The Telegraph will be joining as well. So lots of really interesting guests to come. Stay tuned to Latte Firm. Strikers, we can't not do an Arsenal show without talking about strikers. And this is something that I mentioned in the Daily Grind this week to Sammy Mockbell. Arsenal fans are unrivaled, Wayne. We have noticed that we have noticed via Fabrizio Romano that Benjamin Sesko has now started following Arsenal. Maybe Fabrizio Romano picked it up from an Arsenal fan. We've also noticed that Victor Gyokeres has started following
the agent. The agent 100% paid Fabrizio Romano to tweet that.
Probably. I mean, when we think of cloud formations and hedge formations and flight tracker and all that sort of stuff, it seems both of these players are, you would imagine, or you would believe, gagging for a move to Arsenal. Signore Berta is working his magic and keeping both plates spinning at the same time. I guess just quickly, your thoughts on how, your feelings towards these players. How has it sort of moved on over the last couple of weeks, and who would you want Arsenal to sign this weekend? Either of you. Yeah, you go first. Come on.
God, nothing's moved. It's still, there's not. I don't think there would be any movement yet, because it feels like we're waiting for the new, for July 1st, and we're waiting for something to happen. I think as well, Leipzig are still holding out for a fee that I think is unrealistic for what Sesko is. It also appears that Sporting as well are holding out for a fee that I think is unrealistic, given what Gyokeres believes and his entourage believes is play. I think the primary is still Benjamin Sesko. It feels like Benjamin Sesko is the one that the majority want. And if that doesn't happen, then a Gyokeres deal will happen. But I think certain pieces have to move on both sides. I think the fees have to come down. I think Andrea Berta is trying to work his magic by playing them off each other to see who will blink first, who will lower their fee enough to say, look, I want to move. Because the fact is that judging at the moment on the 27th of June, there is no one else particularly interested in these two strikers for whatever reason. We've done our due diligence. I don't know if we've agreed terms with either of them. It doesn't feel like it yet, but it feels like we've done the discussions with respective camps to say, look, we want to do this with you, we want to do that, and both have said, okay, we want to work with you. Gyokeres more so than Sesko. But I think something has to happen. I think either the club, or as in Arsenal, or the selling clubs, Leipzig and Sporting, have to, meet in the middle, or one of them has to come down. But it has. I don't think it's really moved on, has it? It doesn't feel like it's moved on to me at all in the last week or so. It just feels like it's.
Listen, I think you made the point earlier about Berta's just keeping both of these plates spinning. He's keeping both options open. I asked Sammy Mockbell and a couple of others during the week about, why is he doing this? And it's basically, it's a different approach from Arsenal, because Edu never used to do this. Edu would always pursue one, and he would wait until that was closed, or he'd wait until it was too late. Whereas Berta is a bit more experienced at this. He's dealing with personalities, dealing with families, he's dealing with the players. He's basically playing them off against each other to maybe put Arsenal in a better position when it comes to negotiation. But he will press the button as and when the club is ready to do that. And I feel, and Alex mentioned this last night, I feel that something has happened in the last couple of days where maybe it's become a bit clearer that we've just decided to press the button on the likes of Kepa, Mosquera, Norgaard. Maybe there is something coming. Maybe Arsenal have now finally sort of edged close to one of these guys. And by the noise on socials, I would feel that it's probably going to be Benjamin Sesko. I've come around to the fact that he would be my number one now, I think.
I kind of agree to that in terms of we know how much money we're playing with. I think there's always been this kind of how much money have we got to play with for this window, and how is it going to figure? Because your two primary signings you'd assume are your striker and your left wingers. So we obviously have some idea of it now. But I guess it's also, I'm kind of reticent about this talk of, Sesko's asked for this and he's asked for that, and et cetera, et cetera. I think there is some kind of gamesmanship going on, I think, in the background between both agency camps. It was very weird how Sesko's agent put out this kind of very long statement about, we're going to do things the right way. Just as Gyokeres, the news came out about this. It just feels like there's gamesmanship all over the shop in terms of trying to get a bid from Arsenal and trying to make a solid offer.
Well, it's like a game of chess. Before I go to Wayne and we start wrapping up the show by reviewing the window so far, and I definitely want to get the chat involved in that because I've had a quite serious debate with someone on Twitter. Call out boy, thank you, my friend, for the generous contribution. It is massively appreciated. I think that's the second or third time this week, man. He says, "Evening, gents. A long week at work. Now chilling with the best pod on YouTube." If you mean that sincerely, and I'm sure you do, I will take that as very, very heartfelt. I appreciate that. I'm very grateful for your kind words. And of course, your contribution says, hope you're well. I hope you're well. I hope you've had a good week. Do chill. Enjoy the weekend. And it's fantastic to see you in the chat. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this name. Trismegistus? Is that some sort of character? Is that I don't know. Trismegistus. Hang on, is that a rude word? Have I fallen for it? Says Sesko for me. O'Malley says, if we miss out on both Sesko or Gyokeres, it's going to be Ollie Watkins. Olivier Giroud, I saw.
No, it's going to be Nicholas Jackson, isn't it?
Oh, don't. Yeah. If that happens,
I know, I
saw
saw
your house. I'm coming. Do not do this.
I saw this and I was like, no.
Let's just not. Can we just not talk it into existence? Wayne, just very quickly on this before we move on to the final section of tonight's show. It is getting a bit tedious. A few people have said in the chat, it's just dragging on so long. It's a bit like the Zubimendi sort of saga. Like when we land one of these two, I'm sure, when we see one of these two with the shirts and the announcement, it's going to be unbelievable. But until that point,
when we get the flat,
can you just be quiet? I need to finish this question to Wayne. Gee, and he wonders why his podcasts are like 2 hours long in length. He doesn't let anyone talk. I'm kidding. I don't even know what I was saying now. What was I saying, Wayne? What was the nonsense was I peddling out?
You were just talking about when this striker...
Yeah, when it happens. I mean,
wow. Assuming it happens. It hasn't happened for 3 years, so it may not happen. I wouldn't count your chicken just yet. But for me, I'd still lean towards Sesko being my favourite, because I just think he's got the better upside, and I think he brings a lot of obviously what we don't have. But what I will say is, had we signed Gyokeres 2-3 weeks ago, when it was quoted at 80-90 million or whatever, and we had found out later down the line that he had this written agreement with Sporting that says that he could go for 65 million or whatever it was, like everyone that was complaining about the fact that we've not signed Gyokeres will then be complaining about the fact, I can't believe we paid 90 million for a guy that we could have got for 65 million, blah, 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 blah. So I don't mind the games that Berta is playing, because at the end of the day, you look at both deals, at the end of the day, they're beneficial to us, because if Sporting are heading back to pre-season training at some point soon, there's already talk that Gyokeres is not showing up because of this so-called agreement that he's got in his contract that Sporting have said you can go for this amount of money, and we're already close to that according to Portuguese media. And then with Sesko, there doesn't seem to be that much interest in him outside of Arsenal and Saudi. Now, he doesn't seem to want to go to Saudi, so that takes them out of the running. Leipzig aren't in Europe. They're not going to risk the opportunity at taking 60, 70 million or whatever it is, just because of a game of chess that you've called it. I think we're in a really good position.
Are you scared, Wayne? Sorry to interrupt you, but are you not scared? Scared's the wrong word. Are you a little bit cautious about the fact that nobody else is interested in Sesko?
No, not really. Not really, because I don't think there are many teams around the world that need a big money striker. I think where I would start being a little bit nervous is if and when Liverpool sell Darwin Núñez. I could see Liverpool going for him straight away. That's where I would start getting a little bit nervous. But if you look at the landscape of football, who needs a striker really? Us, potentially Liverpool if Núñez goes. Man United, but I don't see Sesko going there. Chelsea buy 50 strikers a season, and they've already just signed Delap, although you wouldn't put it past Chelsea signing him for big money. Like, there are not many teams that can afford Sesko that need a striker. Like, Real Madrid are not gonna buy him. Barca don't really need a striker like that. So, no, I think it's not really about they don't like him as a player. He's been linked to big teams in the past. It's just more so what other teams do you want chasing him that need him?
E4 Superfly. I'm just here to see Yembele fall asleep on camera. We all remember that episode. Do you remember that? Brilliant.
I've had sugar, so I should be all
I
right.
love you, Yem. Honestly, I don't know what I'd do without you. Don't know what I'd do with you. Hodge says, "Big up hand of Arsenal. He made Twitter more fun on actual ITK and none of the clickbaity stuff. It's very refreshing. I've just set up in the poll.
Listen, he's not an ITK at this point anymore. He's an actual journalist, mate. He's beyond the ITK.
He's the GOAT. He just, man, honestly, I can't believe he watches every show. It's wild. Quick poll in the chat. Gyokeres or Sesko, look at that. Convincing 73% of you that are voting. Out of the hundreds of you that are watching live right now on YouTube, say Sesko is the one. Right, let's move on to the final part of tonight's show. Today on Twitter, I asked people to no, I didn't. Now_Arsenal, Sam, who provides all the graphics, by the way, and it's another brilliant graphic on that screen there on the left-hand side. I asked him to make this image up for me, and he has. And I think he used it as a question to say, how would you rate Arsenal's window so far? Out of 10. And I gave my score, and I've basically been battered for it. And I want to get your scores first. And chat, let me know. Out of 10, in fact, I'll start a new poll. And by the way, Tyrone says we all love Yem. Yeah, some love him more than others, but we shall see. No, we love you, Yem. We love you. Never change. The start to the window so far, not the window itself, because the window hasn't finished yet. As Taylor's just asked, are you saying is the window ended tonight? It would be a big fat 1 out of 10, he says. But the start of the window so far, knowing that we've got another couple of months to run, Wayne, how would you rate this window so far out of 10 if we get all 4 of those guys on screen?
A 5? Because what have we actually done? We've given Gabriel a new contract, which is fantastic and was necessary. We've given Lewis-Skelly a new contract, which is fantastic and was necessary. But none of these guys are officially Arsenal players yet. So,
well, hence the question. No. Hence the question. If we sign all 4 of these, well, what we've done, I'll tell you what we've done. We've got a backup goalkeeper, and not alone. We've got a backup goalkeeper who is of a good caliber, part of Bournemouth's best ever Premier League defense last season, and he's done well. Christian Mosquera from Valencia is a reasonably exciting, very promising young defender, played for the under Spanish teams all throughout his career. And we've been crying out for backup to Saliba because of the mental fatigue that people have talked about, because of the mistakes that he made, and because he can't keep playing at this level of football, for the next 2-3 years continuously, and potentially a succession plan. Zubimendi has come in and is going to be the metronome. He's going to be that quarterback sitting deep, controlling us, and I think he's going to be phenomenal. I'm so excited about what Zubimendi is going to bring to us because he gets the ball out of his feet quick. He's both-footed, clubs in both feet. I wish I could trademark that sentence. Big upgrade on anything that we've had. Norgaard, we've talked about, not the most exciting player, but an important player because it was a gap in the squad that we needed. Jorginho's gone. El Neni went and we didn't do anything. Partey is obviously still currently on the release list. So, okay, not our primary targets in terms of forwards and wide players, but really important positions that we've had to address and, reasonable value for money. Like Martin Zubimendi, the way that we've structured the payment, paid a little bit more than his release clause to make sure that we could structure the payments and pay it over a number of years. Kepa, 5 million quid. Mosquera, potentially 15, 16 million quid. And Norgaard, 9 million pounds. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. I gave the start of the window an 8 out of 10. But if the window shut tonight, it's not good. It's a 6 for me because we still have done some good work. If you get the 2 attackers that we've talked about, maybe at Eze, that's a 10 out of 10, no doubt. That's what I feel we've achieved. I think it's disingenuous to say, well, we haven't done anything. I mean, I know we haven't announced these players yet.
Yeah.
But like I said, the question was to say that we got those 4. I think these are important moves that the squad needs, and it goes back to that last point. Sorry, just very quickly. When our forwards come in, and when the likes of Marino and Odegaard and Rice are all firing and we've got a fully fit squad, these guys will be on the bench. Like Zubimendi will be playing, but Kepa will be on the bench, Mosquera will be on the bench, Norgaard will be on the bench. Maybe if we go out and get a wide forward, Rodrygo, Martinelli gets put on the bench. Like the bench becomes stronger, and that's really important. So I don't want to just brush this under the carpet and be like, well, we haven't done anything yet. Well, we have. We've addressed 4 really important roles in the squad.
You're right. You've swayed me. I'll go with a 5.5.
6. Yeah.
I still think there's still big things to do which we've not addressed yet. Like you said, we need the winger, we need the striker, but then looking across the rest of the squad, we need to sort out the Saka contract. We hopefully potentially need to sort out the Saliba contract. But then we also need to sort out some of the outgoings and bring some money back in. We don't really know what the situation is with Zinchenko. We don't really know what the situation is with Karl Hein. We don't really know what the situation is with Kivior. And if he's staying or if he's going, there doesn't seem to be anything there for that. And then I'm also looking at even if we did all of that and we gave everyone a contract, we brought in the striker, we brought in the left winger, it's still potentially at a 9 out of 10 for me because I do worry about the legs in midfield and that lack of creativity. But I'm not expecting the 10 out of 10 window. It's very, very difficult for us to do that. But yeah, I think we've got a lot of work to do to solve the two biggest areas. Once they're done, it will shoot up to sort of an 8.5 for sure.
Yembele, your thoughts?
I'm going to give it a 5 and a 5.5 as well. Mosquera's not done yet, so until that's pretty much out, again, we've gone back in with the second bid, I assume, but that's not done yet.
Assuming these four are done, assuming that they're part of the squad, they're
Yeah, 5.5. I mean, again, Zubimendi is the one that stands out. He's going to be your starter, guaranteed starter for the team. Kepa, I think, is an astute buy, 5 million. Again, I don't think he's going to rip up trees. I think he's going to be playing in more games than certainly Neto did last season because he's a much more steadier option. But I don't think he's going to be. I doubt he would challenge David Raya.
Chris Davison. Chris.
You haven't seen him
in my eyes. Mate, where's that Ian Wright meme? Chris, it's great to see you. Says 5 out of 10, but only because half the work is done. Chris, I hope you're well, man. It's so lovely to see your little face and your picture. I hope you're well, buddy. Sorry, Yembele.
Norgaard, again, is not a floor raiser. It's steady Eddie signings, these ones at the moment, apart from Zubimendi. And Zubimendi is pretty much the reason why it's at the 5.5. If he wasn't, I'd say it's a 4 almost at the moment. But again, I think it is similar at the moment. If you're talking about the window is a marathon, not a sprint. We've got a way to go. Who knows where we're going to end up? As Wayne said, there's sales. There's other bits and pieces. We've got, Nelson is still there. You've got, what's going to happen with Kivior? If Kivior exits, then you do need another left-sided option because Calafiore's injuries are, he's not there all the time. So there's a lot of questions to ask. But the primary ones we all know are the striker has to be done as soon as possible. I still maintain this. It still has to be done before the preseason tour starts because I don't like the idea of a player coming in towards the end of the window or in the midpoint. It just doesn't work well. We've shown it with Mikel Merino and a few others. I want him in. I want him working with the team. The winger is a little bit more complex because it feels like if we go for Rodrygo, that one, we have to wait on a number of pieces to fall. And then if it isn't, then we're going to have to switch to plan B or plan C, etc. quite quickly. Then you've also got, like the Eze, we've talked about Eze, all those kind of things. So those can add to the window rating. If you've got an Eze as well as a winger and a left side defender, if Kivior goes, then that takes it up to a 9 for me. If you look at the overall, so again, 5.5 I think is a pretty good one at the moment. The window's just started. I think people just need to settle down, let the transfer team work, judge them at the end. And then we'll give a proper rating as to where we are.
Yeah, listen. When I see those players on screen, none of these signings make me unhappy. Like, we need all of them. We need a backup goalkeeper. We need a young defender to cover Saliba. We needed badly someone like Zubimendi, and Norgaard is a nice to have. Just kind of beef up the squad, raise the floor, and just keep the squad sort of bolstered with options. Had we maybe started the window with a Sesko and a Rodrygo, maybe people in the chat would think, 9 out of 10. We've addressed two of the main points, but actually, the rating would probably be just as low because we lack the depth in each of the positions that I've just mentioned. So, look, as starts of the windows go, I'm quite pleased with that. I think there is a lot of work to do. And, there was someone in the chat who said, get 3 forwards and it's a 9 out of 10. Mate, 3 forwards and it's a 9 out of 10. Like, you can't please everyone.
You won't win.
That's
you won't win. No one's going to win. No, you're not going to please everybody in this window for sure.
Arteta won't use them anyway, so.
There is that as well. D-Day Spree says, grading the window thus far means, are you doing what you're supposed to do in terms of progress? We are covering the spots that we need to. Kovacs, you started an almighty disagreement with the chat about Madueke. I don't think Arsenal fans are quite keen on that. There's too many Chelsea. You're going to see a lot more of this because they've got so many flipping players. Mr. 142, you're happy to be second. Come on, man.
No, one question. Andre Santos from Chelsea. Would you have him? Because he's not happy.
Great player. He's a really, really great youngster. But again, I mean, I would. Yeah, of course. How much? They bought him for 18 million quid when he was 18.
Yeah, they're talking about 20 to 30 because.
Really? Mate, I'd be all over that. Oh wow, yeah, he's a good player. He's another Chelsea player, but like he's a really promising lad. Although he did have a stint at Nottingham Forest and played 1 game. So maybe not. Don't know. Maybe we'll do that on the Daily Grind some other time. Right, we're going to leave it there. Chaps, what a fun show. Hundreds of you watching live. Please do like the video before you go. It's a massive help to the channel. We're on our way to 25,000 subs. I reckon we can nab that over the month of July. That would be amazing. We're just a couple of thousand subs away, and you guys are subscribing like crazy, which is insane. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Really appreciate it. If anybody wants to follow Yembele and his camera, he's available at Verge59. There you go. There's a zoom in, just as I say it. And if anybody wants to follow Wayne, he is available at Wayne's World 20_. Wayne, you doing anything on the Can You Believe It podcast?
Well, yeah, I'm taking over 25,000 subscribers here and all of our listeners to Fish Finger Ketchup Town. One listener, 1 subscriber at a time. Can you believe it? Latte Firm, Ketchup and Fish Fingers. We're taking over the world.
I love it. And Yem, how's the old Red Lines and Half Spaces going? Episode 4 today.
Yeah, episode 4 dropped today. We talked about pretty, kind of similar, the transfers going on, Miles Lewis-Skelly's new contract, and then obviously the first 6 fixtures of the Premier League. Yeah, it's going well. If you guys can check it out on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and YouTube. Going to upload a few little video clips in the next couple of days. So yeah, enjoying it. It's just good fun to have a discussion about Arsenal, and hopefully you guys are liking it.
I'm very much enjoying it. So thank you for that, and do check out these.
Have you finished the first episode yet?
I haven't. I started episode 4 today, and I'm about 30 minutes into it. And luckily, it's a much shorter one, but it's a great chemistry that Yem's got with Joe. It really is good fun. So do check it out, guys. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Just as a reminder, Art de Roche tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock UK time. For those of you who are overseas, those of you in Asia might be able to watch that live and get involved in the chat. Tom Canton of the Gooner Talk TV joins me on Sunday. Haroon Hickman, who has been a regular on the Latte Firm phone-ins, will join us on Monday. Harry Simew Tuesday. Pedro of Le Grove on Wednesday. Hopefully Sam Dean on Thursday. And then after a short break, because I got to go away with the family for a few days, Phil Costa, James Benge, James, so many people coming on to the Daily Grinds.
And about, did you just say you're away for a Friday night? Late night
No, late night latte. I'll be back. Yeah, the Friday I'll be back, but we are heading to Center Parks, and it's literally a forest. So the internet connection is not as groovy as we'd like, which means maybe 3 nights of no Daily Grinds. But I will let you guys know in the chat as and when we get there. I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you all for tuning in. Look after yourselves. Enjoy the weekend. It's going to be a scorcher in London. Sleep well, stay cool. Oh, that would have been such a smooth ending. Sleep well, stay cool, and keep it latte firm. Until next time, bye for now.